My dear friends, when you learn to focus on yourself and remain silent, you begin to hear the whispers of your own soul. The world is loud. Everybody is speaking, everybody is rushing, everybody is competing to be seen. But let me remind you, sometimes true power is not in the noise you make, but in the silence you keep. My dear friends, when I say silence teaches you who you are, I am not speaking of a silence that is empty, nor of a silence that is lonely. I speak of a silence that is alive, a silence that breathes, a silence that carries the voice of your soul in whispers so gentle, you must be still to hear them. In this world, everybody is running. The city streets are full of horns, conversations, arguments, and laughter. In our homes, the television talks, the radio sings, and the phone never stops ringing. And yet, with all of this noise around us, many of us are afraid of what happens when the noise disappears. We turn on distractions not because we need them, but because we are afraid of what the quiet will reveal about us. But silence, true silence, is a teacher. Imagine waking up early in the morning before the world has opened its eyes. The sun has not yet risen, the birds have not yet sung, and you sit alone with a cup of tea. In that moment, there is no one to impress, no one to argue with, no one to applaud you or criticize you. There is only you. And in that quiet moment, you begin to feel something, your thoughts, your emotions, your heartbeat. That is where self-discovery begins. When you are silent, you discover that the person you have been running from is yourself. You discover whether you are truly happy or just pretending. You begin to feel the weight you have been carrying, the disappointments you never spoke of, the dreams you quietly buried, the fears you hid even from yourself. Silence does not let you escape, my friends. It holds up a mirror and says, "Here you are. Look, see yourself." And though it can be frightening at first, it is in that honest encounter with yourself that growth begins. Think about it. In everyday life, we talk so much about others. We say what she did, what he said, what they thought of me, how they treated me. But how often do we ask, who am I? What do I want? What makes me come alive? Silence asks those questions. Silence waits for the answers. Let me give you an example. Imagine a young woman working in an office. Every day she hears her colleagues gossip, brag, complain. She joins in because that is what everyone does. She goes home, she turns on the television, she scrolls through her phone, and the cycle repeats. But one day she chooses differently. She comes home, turns everything off, and sits quietly with a journal. In that silence, she realizes that her job does not make her happy. She realizes that she has been neglecting her love for painting, something she gave up long ago. That night of silence becomes the seed of a new life. She begins to paint again. And in painting, she rediscovers herself. Without silence, she would never have heard that small voice inside whispering, "Remember who you are." Silence is also a healer. Life can bruise us. Words said in anger, failures that weigh on us, betrayals that cut deep. These things wound the spirit. And while talking may help, silence often does more. Have you ever walked by the ocean and said nothing? Have you ever stood beneath a great tree and simply listened to the wind? Nature speaks in silence. And in that silence, your soul begins to breathe again. The hurt softens. The heart finds rest. I will tell you this truth. Many people fear silence because it feels empty. But it is not empty, it is full. Full of answers, full of clarity, full of the truth you have been seeking outside yourself. In silence, you discover that you are enough. Without the noise of validation, without the applause of the crowd, without the approval of others. Think about a child. A child will sit alone in a corner with a toy and create a whole universe. No applause, no audience, just pure imagination. That is what silence gives us again. The ability to create, to dream, to live without needing the world's constant noise. Let me remind you, the great thinkers, the inventors, the artists, the poets, they all understood silence. They sat in their rooms, in their studies, in their gardens, alone, listening, thinking, feeling. That silence birthed masterpieces, inventions, revolutions. Because in silence, they met themselves. And when you meet yourself, you meet power. Silence does not mean weakness. It does not mean hiding. It means you are strong enough to face yourself, strong enough to walk away from the noise and listen to the truth within. And once you have listened, once you have learned who you are in that stillness, no voice outside of you can shake you. The world can shout, the critics can scream, but inside you is a quiet certainty, a peace that no storm can steal. So, my dear friends, the next time life feels too loud, too overwhelming, give yourself the gift of silence. Sit with yourself. Write in your journal. Walk under the stars. Pray. Meditate. Or simply sit and breathe. You will be amazed at what you find. Because silence, my friends, teaches you who you are. And once you know who you are, the world cannot tell you who to be. My friend, let me tell you something about focus. When you learn to turn your attention inward, when you give your energy to your own path instead of scattering it across 100 different directions, your life begins to bloom in ways you could not have imagined. You see, focus builds strength. Without focus, even the brightest flame flickers in the wind, but with focus, even the smallest spark can light a fire that cannot be put out. Think about a magnifying glass. The sunlight on its own is warm and gentle. But when that same sunlight is concentrated through the lens, it can set a leaf aflame. The light did not change. What changed was the focus. The same happens in life. When you stop dividing your time, your heart, your energy between everyone else's needs, and you bring it back to yourself, you become powerful. You become unshakable. So often, we spend our days giving and giving, pouring into other people's cups until our own runs dry. We check what everyone else is doing. We compare our journey to theirs. We rush to meet their expectations. But my dear, you cannot water everybody's garden and expect your own to bloom. If you spend your days making sure every neighbor's flowers are growing, one day you will return home and find your own garden barren, your soil cracked, your seeds forgotten. Focus means remembering that your garden matters too. Let me give you a picture from daily life. Imagine a student preparing for an exam. One day, he studies math for an hour, then talks on the phone for 2 hours, then checks social media for another hour, then comes back to read 2 pages of history. Days pass this way, scattered and distracted. When the exam comes, he finds himself unprepared. Not because he lacked intelligence, but because he lacked focus. Now imagine another student. She decides, from 6 to 8 each evening, I will focus only on my studies. No distractions, no gossip, no noise. Every day, she commits those 2 hours with full attention. Weeks later, she walks into the exam hall not with fear, but with quiet confidence. Why? Because her focus built her strength. Life is the same way. The results you get are not a matter of luck. They are the fruit of where you put your focus. If you focus on complaints, you grow bitterness. If you focus on doubts, you grow fear. If you focus on others' opinions, you lose your own voice. But if you focus on your growth, your discipline, your dream, you grow a future. Focus is the gardener of your destiny. Let me share another daily example. Think of an athlete training for a marathon. On some mornings, she wakes before sunrise, her body sore, her mind whispering, "Stay in bed." But she laces her shoes anyway. She chooses focus over comfort. Every day she runs not loudly, not to impress anyone, but with quiet determination. Months later, when she crosses the finish line, people cheer. They say, "How strong she is! How talented!" But what they do not see is the focus, the silent mornings, the steady steps, the choice to commit to her own path again and again. Her strength was not born in the applause of the crowd, but in the focus she kept when no one was watching. And let me tell you something beautiful. Focus does not just build strength in tasks, it builds strength in the spirit. When you decide to focus on yourself, you stop chasing the noise of the world. You stop comparing your timeline with another's. You stop feeling small because someone else's garden bloomed before yours. You realize that every flower has its own season, and your focus is the water that makes your own season possible. There will always be distractions, always be voices trying to pull you away. Some people will not understand your silence. Some may even mock your discipline. But focus is not for them, it is for you. When you learn to say, "No, I will not waste my time," in every conversation, in every crowd, in every storm, you are not being selfish, you are being wise. Because you know that your energy is sacred, your time is sacred, your dream is sacred. Even in relationships, focus builds strength. A parent who chooses to spend even one focused hour truly listening to their child gives more than a parent who spends the whole day half listening while distracted by a phone. A friend who gives you their full presence for a moment gives you more than one who is with you all day but never truly with you. Focus is love in action. It is respect, it is discipline, it is strength. So I say again, focus builds strength. Not overnight, not in one great leap, but day by day, choice by choice, moment by moment. Focus is not about being louder, faster, or busier. Focus is about being steady. It is about knowing what matters and giving yourself to it fully. When you do that, your life begins to carry weight. Your presence begins to command respect. And you will find yourself stronger than you ever thought possible. The truth is simple. When you focus on your path, you cannot be shaken by another's. When you focus on your garden, you do not envy your neighbor's harvest. When you focus on your strength, you no longer waste time proving your worth. Focus builds strength, my dear. And that strength will carry you through storms, through seasons of doubt, through the noise of the world. That strength will carry you into the life you were meant to live. Silence is a shield. My dear friend, in this noisy world, silence is not weakness. It is not emptiness. It is protection. Too often, people believe that to be heard is to be powerful. They think that shouting the loudest wins the battle. But let me remind you, the strongest warriors are not always the ones who shout, but the ones who know when to hold their tongue, when to guard their spirit, when to keep their vision close to their heart. Silence is not a cage. It is armor. It protects your peace, your dreams, and your dignity. Think of a seed buried in the soil. It does not cry out, "Look at me, I am growing." It stays hidden in silence, quietly pushing its roots deeper, quietly preparing to rise. The world does not see its struggle beneath the ground, and that is its shield. For in its silence it is safe. No one can trample on it. No one can uproot it. Only when it is strong enough does it break through the soil and reach for the sun. Your dreams are like that seed. If you speak too soon, if you share too much, if you expose them before their roots are ready, the world can crush them with doubt, envy, and careless words. Silence shields your vision until it is ready to bloom. In our daily life, how many times have we rushed to tell someone our plans, our hopes, our next move, only to be met with discouragement? You share your dream of starting a business, and someone tells you 100 reasons it will fail. You tell a friend about your plan to move forward in life, and they laugh or dismiss it. Words once spoken cannot be taken back. Their doubts enter your mind. Their negativity weighs on your spirit. But when you keep your plans silent, they cannot shoot arrows at what they cannot see. Silence becomes your shield. Let me give you an example. Imagine a young woman saving money to start her small bakery. She does not go around announcing it to everyone. She works quietly at her job. She saves quietly. She experiments with recipes in her little kitchen day and night. People may wonder why she is so reserved, why she is so focused. But she does not answer every question. Months later, one morning, the bakery opens. The smell of fresh bread fills the street. Suddenly, the very people who might have discouraged her now line up to taste her success. Her silence was her shield. It kept her dream safe until it became reality. Silence also shields you in conflict. Sometimes when people insult you, when they provoke you, when they throw words like stones, the greatest response is no response at all. Not every battle is worth your voice. If a dog barks at the moon does not bark back. The moon shines silently, untouched by the noise below. In the same way, your silence can protect you from lowering yourself to battles that do not deserve your energy. Strength is not proven by arguing with every fool. Strength is proven by knowing when your silence speaks louder than your words ever could. In family, in friendships, in work, silence shields peace. When you refuse to repeat every rumor, when you do not engage in every quarrel, you protect yourself and those around you. How many relationships have been broken because of words spoken in anger? How many bonds could have been saved if silence had stepped in at the right time? Silence is not weakness. It is wisdom wrapped in calm. Another daily example, a man working in an office is surrounded by gossip. Every day, people whisper about each other, wasting hours in meaningless chatter. But he chooses silence. He does his work, keeps his peace, and lets his results speak. At first, people may think he is distant. Some may even misunderstand his silence. But when promotions come, when respect is given, it is this man who stands tall. His silence was his shield. He did not allow the poison of gossip to stain his name. Silence also shields the soul. In moments of pain, when you are broken, when you are carrying burdens too heavy to explain, silence protects your heart. You do not owe your story to everyone. You do not have to expose your scars for every passerby to see. Sometimes healing happens best in quiet, away from curious eyes, away from careless words. In silence, you can pray, you can breathe, you can gather your strength. And when you rise stronger, and no one knows the battles you fought in the sacred quiet of your own soul. And remember this, silence does not mean absence. It does not mean doing nothing. It means choosing to protect what matters. Just as a castle has walls to shield the treasures inside, your silence shields the treasures of your heart. Not everyone deserves access. Not everyone deserves to hear your plans, your struggles, your truths. Silence allows you to choose wisely who enters your inner world. So, my dear friend, let the world be noisy. Let others shout and scatter their words like dust in the wind. You keep your silence when it matters. Guard your dreams. Protect your peace. Choose your battles. And never forget, the oak tree does not announce its strength, yet it stands for centuries. The river does not explain its flow, yet it carves valleys through mountains. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is power. Silence is a shield. When you begin to focus on yourself, something remarkable happens. You will notice a change in the way people around you respond. Relationships, both near and far, begin to shift. Some people will draw closer, others may drift away, but all of it serves your growth. Focusing on yourself is not selfishness, it is self-respect. And when you respect yourself, you change the rhythm of every relationship you are in. Think about it. When you start paying attention to your health, to your peace, to your goals, you are no longer available in the same way you once were. Perhaps you used to pick up every phone call, even when you were tired. You said yes to every request, even when your own plate was overflowing. You were always present for others, but absent for yourself. And when you decide to change that, when you say, "Today I choose to focus on my own growth," people notice. Some may not understand, some may even feel offended. But those who truly care about you will adjust, because love respects boundaries and friendship honors growth. Let me give you a simple example from daily life. Imagine a young woman who always says yes. Her friends call at midnight asking her to drive them somewhere, and she goes. Her coworkers ask her to finish tasks they neglected, and she stays late. Her family relies on her for every little thing, but deep down she feels drained, invisible, and unseen. One day she makes a decision: I will focus on myself, but I will not abandon others, but I will no longer abandon myself. Slowly, she begins to say no when she is exhausted. She takes time to rest, to read, to learn, to exercise, to dream. What happens? At first, some friends complain. They say, "You've changed." But in truth, she has not changed. She has returned to herself. Over time, the people who truly love her learn to respect her time. And those who only valued her when she sacrificed herself disappear. That is the power of focusing on yourself. It cleanses your relationships. When you focus on yourself, you also inspire others. A man who chooses to dedicate an hour each day to learning a new skill will, without words, encourage his children to value discipline. A woman who takes time to nurture her own dreams teaches her friends that self-care is not neglect, but strength. Your focus becomes an unspoken message. I am worthy of my time, my energy, and my attention. And those who witness it often begin to reflect on their own lives. But you must be prepared, because not everyone will celebrate your focus. Some people are comfortable when you are always available, always giving, always pouring. When you begin to redirect that energy to yourself, their comfort is disturbed. They may accuse you of being distant, selfish, or uncaring. Do not let that discourage you. Understand this. Your journey is not meant for everyone to approve. It is meant for you to grow. And sometimes growth requires pruning, letting go of what no longer supports your becoming. Consider a garden once again. When you water one flower more than the others, it grows strong while the rest wither. But when you balance your care, when you allow the whole garden to flourish, the beauty becomes complete. Relationships are the same. If you give all of yourself to others and leave none for yourself, imbalance is created. But when you focus on yourself, you restore balance. You do not stop giving. You give from a place of fullness instead of emptiness. You love not from exhaustion, but from abundance. A daily example, a parent who is constantly burned out may become short-tempered, impatient, wary. But a parent who takes even a small amount of time to focus on themselves, maybe through prayer, exercise, reading, or quiet reflection, returns to their family calmer, more patient, more loving. By focusing on themselves, they improve every relationship around them. Focusing on yourself also reveals truth in relationships. When you no longer bend and twist yourself to please everyone, you begin to see who really values you for who you are. Some friends may distance themselves because they can no longer use you. Some colleagues may show their envy because they see your growth. But others will step forward with support, encouragement, and respect. Focusing on yourself shines a light on the genuine and exposes the false. And do not forget, when you focus on yourself, you attract people who are also focused on growth. Like minds meet, like hearts gather, the energy you carry changes, and you will find yourself surrounded by those who respect your silence, your discipline, your determination. You no longer have to chase approval because your focus becomes a magnet for the right souls. So yes, focusing on yourself changes relationships. It may hurt at first because letting go of old patterns, old people, or old habits is never easy. But in time, you will see that the change is necessary. A tree must shed its dead leaves to make way for new ones. You, too, must shed old ways of giving yourself away without thought so that you can grow stronger and stand taller. Remember, relationships that are meant to last will not be destroyed by your focus. They will adapt, they will deepen, they will flourish. The ones that fall apart were never built on true understanding in the first place. And that, too, is a gift because your energy is too precious to be wasted where it is not honored. My friend, focus on yourself and watch how your relationships transform. Some doors will close, but new ones will open. Some people will walk away, but better ones will arrive. And through it all, you will discover that the most important relationship you will ever have, the one with yourself, will finally be strong, steady, and unbreakable. Silence makes your actions speak. My dear friend, in a world where so many are eager to talk, to announce, to explain, the greatest power often lies in saying nothing and simply doing. Words can be beautiful, but words without action are like clouds without rain. They promise much, yet deliver nothing. Actions, however, need no introduction. They are the true language of the heart. They tell the story of who you are without a single syllable. Think for a moment about promises. How often do people speak grand promises, yet never fulfill them? A person may say, "I will be there for you," but when the time comes, they are absent. Another may say, "I will change my life," but months pass and they remain the same. Words are easy. They flow quickly, sometimes carelessly. But actions require commitment, sacrifice, and consistency, and silence gives actions the stage to shine. Consider a daily example. A young man says nothing about his struggles. He does not broadcast his every challenge on social media. He does not explain to friends why he disappears some evenings. Instead, he studies late at night, works tirelessly during the day, and saves little by little. Months later, he graduates with honors, or he opens a small business. People are surprised. They say, "We didn't know you were doing all this?" His silence made his actions thunder. The applause that follows is not because of what he said, it is because of what he did. Silence allows your actions to speak louder than explanations ever could. You do not need to argue with those who doubt you. You do not need to convince those who underestimate you. Let your results respond. When you are silent, your victories arrive like a sunrise, unexpected, undeniable, unstoppable. You do not need to stand in the night arguing that the sun will rise. When the dawn comes, it proves itself. Think of a mother. She may not speak often of her sacrifices. She may not remind her children of the nights she stayed awake, the meals she skipped, the dreams she delayed. But her actions tell the story. The children who grow up strong, the home that is built with love. These are her words, written not with her tongue, but with her deeds. And those actions echo louder than any speech. Or think of the athlete again. While others talk about their plans to train, he rises before dawn. While others boast of what they will achieve, he is quietly sweating, quietly enduring, quietly preparing. On the day of the race, when he runs faster, stronger, longer than the rest, he does not need to say, "I worked harder." His legs, his endurance, his victory, they say it for him. His silence during preparation allowed his performance to roar. Even in relationships, silence makes action speak. Someone may say, "I love you," but love is not proven in words. Love is proven in showing up, in listening, in being present when it matters most. Someone may say, "I respect you," but respect is not in speech. It is in how they treat you when no one is watching. Silence strips away the noise of empty words and lets behavior reveal the truth. There is wisdom in holding back explanations. Sometimes people doubt you, misunderstand you, or even gossip about you. The natural urge is to defend yourself, to explain, to argue. But often, silence is the greatest defense. If you know the truth, let your life reveal it. If you are working towards something greater, let the outcome show it. Arguing wastes energy, action builds destiny. Here is another picture from daily life. Imagine a worker in a company overlooked by colleagues. Some mock him. Some whisper that he will never rise. He does not fight with them. He does not waste time proving his worth in words. Instead, he works diligently, learns new skills, arrives early, stays focused. One day, a promotion is announced. It is his name they call. His silence protected him, and his actions became the loudest answer. The same mouths that mocked him are forced to fall silent. This is the power of letting actions speak. They require patience, yes, because results take time. But when they arrive, they erase every doubt, every insult, every underestimation. Silence builds suspense, and actions deliver the proof. We live in a time when everyone wants to be seen, when many rush to announce their every move. But there is strength in quiet work. The flower does not shout as it grows, but when it blooms, its beauty fills the garden. The river does not argue about its strength, but over time, it carves valleys into mountains. So too with your actions done quietly, consistently, faithfully, they will carve your story into the world. And remember this, people may forget what you say, but they will never forget what you do. A kind gesture remembered for years, a sacrifice that changes a life, a dream that becomes reality through perseverance. These speak louder than any words. Silence gives them weight. Silence makes them shine. So, my dear friend, choose silence When it is time to work, let your actions be your voice. Do not be in a hurry to explain yourself. Do not waste energy defending your dreams to those who cannot see them. Keep your focus, keep your discipline, and let time tell the tale. For when the fruit appears, when the dream manifests, when the work bears results, no explanation is needed. Your actions will speak, and they will speak louder, clearer, and more beautifully than words ever could. When you decide to focus on yourself, something sacred begins to take root within you. Self-respect. It is one of the most powerful gifts you can ever give yourself. Self-respect is not arrogance. It is not pride. It is not thinking you are above anyone else. It is the quiet knowing that you are worthy of care, worthy of love, and worthy of honor. And when you truly respect yourself, the world has no choice but to see you differently. For too long, many of us wait for others to validate us. We wait for compliments to feel beautiful, for recognition to feel important, for approval to feel worthy. But the truth is, if you do not respect yourself, no amount of applause will ever fill the emptiness. Self-respect is born when you stop chasing external validation and begin to see your own value, whether anyone else notices or not. Let me give you a simple daily example. Imagine a young man who has been in friendships where he is constantly belittled. His so-called friends make jokes at his expense, dismiss his ideas, and only call him when they need something. For a long time, he accepts it thinking, at least I have friends. But one day, he looks at himself in the mirror and says, I deserve better. Quietly, he begins to withdraw from those who disrespect him. He spends time improving himself, building new skills, nurturing his dreams. Slowly, he attracts people who value him, who listen when he speaks, who celebrate his growth. That shift happened the moment he decided to respect himself. Self-respect is not about shouting, I am important. It is about living in a way that honors your worth. It is choosing not to settle for relationships that drain you, jobs that devalue you, or habits that harm you. It is refusing to compromise your dignity for temporary approval. When you respect yourself, you begin to walk differently, speak differently, and live differently. Think of a woman who once tolerated disrespect in a relationship. She stayed silent while her partner ignored her feelings, while her worth was diminished day after day. But one morning, she chose herself. She said, I will not shrink to fit into spaces where I am not valued. She walked away, not because she did not love, but because she finally loved herself enough to leave. That choice was not easy, but it was powerful. Self-respect gave her the courage to protect her heart and rebuild her life. Daily life gives us endless examples. A worker who is underpaid and overlooked may decide, I will no longer accept being treated unfairly. They may leave that job, take courses, learn, and return stronger. A student who is constantly told, you are not smart enough, may choose not to internalize those words, but to prove, through study and discipline, that they are capable. In both cases, the turning point is self-respect, the decision to stop allowing others to define their value. Self-respect also shows in the way you treat your own body. When you choose to rest instead of burning out, when you nourish yourself with healthy food instead of punishment, when you move your body not from shame but from love, that is self-respect in action. It is saying, I honor this vessel I live in. It shows in the way you manage your time. Wasting hours on things that destroy your peace is a form of disrespect to yourself. But when you choose wisely, When you dedicate time to growth, learning, and joy, you show yourself the highest honor. Time is life. How you spend it tells the story of how much you respect yourself. And here is something beautiful. When you respect yourself, others begin to follow. People learn how to treat you by observing how you treat yourself. If you constantly lower your standards, others will too. But if you carry yourself with quiet dignity, if you set boundaries without apology, if you stand firm in your worth, then people around you have no choice but to honor that. Self-respect creates a ripple effect. But understand, self-respect is not always applauded. Sometimes when you choose it, people will say, "You've become distant," or "You've changed." That is because they benefited from your lack of boundaries. They thrived when you disrespected yourself to please them. But once you choose yourself, you no longer feed their comfort. And that is okay. Respecting yourself will sometimes mean losing others, but it will never mean losing yourself. And that, my friend, is the most important relationship of all. Imagine, again, the oak tree. It does not bend to every wind that blows. It stands tall, rooted, unshaken, because it knows its worth. Birds may rest on it, storms may shake it, people may carve their initials into its bark, but still it stands. That is self-respect. To know that life may test you, people may misunderstand you, but you will not collapse, because you value yourself enough to stay rooted. Self-respect also gives birth to confidence, not the loud, boastful kind, but the quiet assurance that says, "I belong here. I am enough." You no longer need to explain yourself to everyone. You no longer seek permission to dream, to rest, to love, to live. You grant yourself permission, and that is more powerful than any approval the world could ever give. So, my dear friend, let your focus be on building that inner temple of respect. Treat yourself with the same kindness you give others. Speak to yourself with encouragement, not criticism. Set boundaries, honor your time, and never apologize for protecting your peace. For when you respect yourself, you light a fire within that cannot be dimmed. You teach the world how to see you. You transform not just your life, but the lives of those who watch you rise. And when the day comes that you stand tall in your own dignity, you will understand this simple truth. The respect you give yourself will always echo louder than the respect you demand from others. It begins within, and when it begins within, it never ends. Silence reveals who is real around you. My dear friend, when you begin to embrace quietness, when you no longer rush to fill every space with words, when you no longer feed every conversation, something powerful happens. You begin to see clearly. You begin to notice who truly values you and who only valued the noise you gave them. Silence acts like a mirror. It reflects the truth of the people around you. Those who are genuine will remain, those who are shallow will fade, and those who never truly cared will show themselves by their absence. Think about it. Many people are comfortable with you when you are constantly giving your attention, giving your laughter, giving your energy. But when you choose silence, when you no longer entertain every call, every gossip, every distraction, some will feel unsettled. They will wonder, why is she so quiet? Why is he no longer responding? And in their reaction, you will discover their truth. If they value you for who you are, they will still stand with you in your silence. But if they only valued your noise, they will drift away. Silence has a way of separating the true from the false. Imagine a woman who always played the role of entertainer among her friends. She was the one who told the jokes, who listened for hours, who always had the energy to lift others up. But one day she grew wary and decided to take a step back. She stopped calling as often, stopped explaining every detail of her life, stopped laughing just to please the crowd. In her silence, she noticed something. A few friends called to check on her, to ask, "Are you okay? We miss you." But many others disappeared. They were never her true friends. They were only addicted to the noise she created. Silence revealed their reality. This is true not only in friendships, but also in family and work. In the workplace, silence can show you who respects your presence versus who only notices your words. The colleague who values you will see your effort, even when you do not announce it. The one who is false will only pay attention when you are loud, when you are available for their convenience. Daily life offers many examples. Think of the man who stops posting every detail of his life online. He no longer shares his meals, his plans, his every thought. He chooses silence. Suddenly, some people stop engaging with him. They were never there for him. They were only there for the entertainment of his words. Yet others remain, reaching out, spending time, valuing his presence without needing constant updates. His silence revealed who was real. Silence is also a test in relationships of love. A partner who truly loves you will understand your quiet moments. They will sit with you in silence, and that silence will not feel empty. It will feel safe. But someone who only wants your energy for their own comfort will grow restless. They will demand your words, your noise, because without it they feel no connection. Silence reveals the depth of love. And remember this, silence does not push people away. It only shows who is willing to walk with you, even when you are not performing. Real love, real friendship, real respect, they do not require constant sound. They exist even in the quiet. They thrive in the pauses. Think of nature. The night sky does not speak, yet those who truly value its beauty will stand and gaze at it in awe. The ocean does not explain itself, yet those who respect it will sit quietly and listen to its waves. In the same way, when you are silent, those who truly value you will stay. They will not demand constant explanation. They will not grow distant just because you are not available to entertain them. They will understand that silence is part of your being. Another daily example, a student in a classroom always raises his hand, always participates, always speaks. He is noticed because of his noise. But one semester, he decides to observe more than speak. In his silence, the teacher begins to notice his attentiveness, his discipline, his quiet wisdom. Meanwhile, some classmates ignore him completely. They only valued his noise. Silence revealed who truly respected his presence. It is also important to understand that silence protects your energy. When you stop feeding everyone with constant words, you save your spirit for those who matter. And in that saved energy, you see who is willing to meet you in truth. Silence is not about isolating yourself. It is about allowing space for the truth of others to emerge. And yes, silence can be uncomfortable for some people. They may accuse you of being distant, of changing, of losing interest. But what they are really saying is, your silence is no longer feeding me. That is when you must stand firm and remember, silence is not rejection. Silence is revelation. So, my dear friend, embrace the gift of silence. Watch carefully when you choose to step back, when you stop explaining, when you no longer fill the air with noise. Observe who comes closer, who checks in, who respects your quiet. And also observe who vanishes, who becomes restless, who shows irritation. In that contrast, you will discover the truth, because at the end of the day, those who are real will not need your constant words to stay. They will honor your silence as much as your speech. They will value your presence, not just your performance. They will love your essence, not just your noise. And when you find those people, keep them close, for they are rare and precious. Silence reveals who is real around you. And once you know who is real, you will never again waste your energy on the false. You will walk lighter, freer, more at peace, because you will know that the ones who remain in your silence are the ones who were always meant to stay. Your focus, your silence, your discipline, these are the quiet architects of transformation. Life does not change in a single shout, nor in a single day of effort, nor in a single burst of passion. Life changes through the steady rhythm of focus, the calm strength of silence, and the unwavering power of discipline. These three, when woven together, can turn the smallest dream into reality, the faintest spark into a flame, and the weakest seed into a towering tree. Focus is where it begins. When you decide to place your energy on one vision, one purpose, one path, you stop scattering yourself across distractions. You learn that you cannot chase everything and expect to catch anything. Focus gathers your strength like sunlight through a magnifying glass and directs it toward what truly matters. Imagine a student who wants to become a doctor, while others spend their nights in parties, scrolling endlessly, or chasing temporary pleasures. He focuses on his books, on his practice, on his dream. Years later, and when he walks into the hospital wearing a white coat, saving lives with steady hands, people will say, "How lucky he is." But luck had little to do with it. It was focus, his refusal to scatter his time, that transformed his dream into truth. Silence comes next. When you learn to keep your journey quiet, when you no longer feel the need to announce every step, you protect your dream like a precious flame. Too much exposure too soon can extinguish it. Silence shields you from doubters, from envy, from unnecessary interference. Imagine a woman building her business from scratch. She doesn't go around declaring her every move. She works quietly, learns from her failures, corrects her mistakes, and grows steadily. At first, no one notices. Then one day, the doors of her shop open and the smell of success drifts out. Her silence protected her while she built. Her results spoke when the time was right. That is the power of silence. It does not weaken the dream. It protects it until it is strong enough to shine. But focus and silence are not enough without discipline. Discipline is the bridge between intention and achievement. Discipline is choosing consistency over comfort, choosing long-term growth over short-term pleasure, choosing to show up even when no one is watching. It is the act of saying, "I will not only dream, I will act." Consider an athlete who trains every morning before sunrise. His body aches, his mind begs for rest, but discipline whispers, "One more mile, one more step." Day after day, he listens. Months later, when he crosses the finish line, the world applauds. But the victory was not born in that moment. It was born in every dawn where discipline carried him forward. Transformation is never sudden. It is built in the quiet consistency of discipline. Let me bring these three together in one picture. Imagine a young woman from a small town with a dream of becoming a writer. She focuses, she chooses writing over countless distractions. She silences, she does not tell everyone about her manuscript. She protects it from criticism before it is ready. She disciplines. She writes every day, even when inspiration does not come. For months, maybe years, no one knows. But one day her book is published. People read it, they are moved, they are inspired. They call her talented. But talent alone did not create her success. It was her focus, her silence, her discipline. Together, they transformed her life. Daily life shows us this truth again and again. A man who focuses on his health, who stays silent about his efforts, who disciplines himself to eat well and exercise regularly. Months later, his body is stronger, his energy higher, his confidence greater. People noticed the transformation, but they did not see the quiet mornings, the silent struggles, the disciplined choices. Transformation does not happen in public applause, it happens in private effort. Your focus, your silence, your discipline, they also transform your character. Focus teaches you clarity. Silence teaches you patience. Discipline teaches you strength. Together, they shape not just what you do, but who you are. They carve resilience into your spirit, humility into your heart, and wisdom into your mind. And that transformation is deeper than any outward success. Think of nature again. The mountain stands because of its focus. It does not move for every storm. The river flows because of its silence. It does not argue, it simply carves its path. The sun rises because of its discipline. It never misses a morning. And because of these qualities, they transform the world around them. So too with you. When you focus, when you embrace silence, when you live with discipline, you will transform not just your life, but the lives of those around you. And yes, transformation is not always quick. It is not always visible. Sometimes you will feel like nothing is changing. But remember the bamboo. For years after planting, it shows no sign of growth above the soil. Yet beneath the ground, its roots are spreading, strengthening, preparing. Then suddenly, in a short time, it shoots up high into the sky. Was it sudden? No. It was years of silent preparation. Your life is the same. Focus, silence, and discipline may not show results immediately, but they are building roots deep within you. And one day, your transformation will rise undeniable and unshakable. So, my dear friend, never underestimate these three. They may not make noise, they may not bring instant applause, but they are the builders of greatness. Focus keeps your eyes on the path. Silence protects your dream. Discipline carries you forward. Together, they transform your life in ways louder, brighter, and more powerful than words alone ever could. Transformation is not magic. It is focus, it is silence, it is discipline. And when you hold on to these, you will rise. Quietly, steadily, beautifully, you will rise.